This is step 2 in a series of screencasts to look at drawing techniques within Microsoft PowerPoint. So what we're going to look at in this screencast is creating a diagram that looks a little bit like this, and we're going to focus on creating the shapes, getting the font in the shapes and getting them all off the right size and hopefully aligned. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go onto a new slide. Now there's various different ways in which you can attack this, but this is the way that I go about it. First of all is I need to draw a shape for my first of my sort of boxes within my flowchart. So I'm using Office 2007 here. The principles are similar in other versions, just things are in different places. But in Office 2007, Insert, Shapes. Now I've got a whole section of shapes here. I'm going to go for a rounded rectangle. Okay, I find that the sort of square cornered rectangles can be a bit harsh on the eyes, whereas the rounded one is a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, so I'm going to choose that. And I'm going to draw one shape roughly where I think it's going to go, and about the right sort of size. Okay. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy it the number of times that I need. Now if I just go back to what I need 6 of those shapes. So having drawn one, I could go copy and paste, but there's a shortcut. If I do Control and D, it's a shortcut for duplicate. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've created 6 shapes. What I'm then going to do is I'm going to position them in roughly the right positions. Now the order in which I position them is significant, and this will become significant later on. I'm taking the top shapes, which was that one there, and I'm moving that to what would be the last part of my sequence. Okay, the top but one was that one there. Now the reason I do that is later on, if we choose to animate the sequence, it will automatically animate in the order in which the diagrams were drawn, and that makes it a little bit easier for me. So it's just a little tip that to think about as you do a lot of these. So I've got them roughly in the right sort of position, okay, and we're going to get them aligned properly in a minute. But what I need to do is add some text. So I'll quickly do that, and I'll just pause this. Okay, so I've quickly added 4 of the boxes. I'm just going to show you how we do that. Now a mistake that a lot of people use is they'll get their shape and then they'll get a text box and they'll add their text to the text box and then they'll move the text box on top of their diagram, and they'll do something like this. Okay, and that might look okay at first, but you often end up with things not being aligned. And a lot of people don't realise is you can just type directly into a shape, and you can type into any shape. It doesn't matter what shape it is, an arrow, a circle, a triangle. You can actually just type into the shape. So while it's selected, all I have to do is start typing. So I've got my shapes aligned with the text entered. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to resize the text. Now I'm going to select all of my shapes by holding my finger on the Shift key and then clicking in turn. And that way it will select all of the items, and I can use this little symbol here for increasing the font size, and I'm going to increase it until it gets too big. See that the evaluator's gone to 2 lines, and I'll just go back one. So I've now got the things roughly the right size. If I want to change the formatting of my boxes, then I can go to the Format tab, and I've got various things here. So where it's got shape fill, I've got a whole selection of colours. I'm going to go for the yellow that I used before. I can go to the outline. Now significantly here, I have a sort of a rule of thumb that generally I go for at least a size 3. And the reason I say that is if I go for less, sometimes when I project, if the line's quite thin, you don't actually get to see it, and your shapes just become very wishy-washy. So I'll go for at least a size 3, and I'm also going to make the colour of my outline black, so it's a bit bolder. And then I'm going to go to the home page, and I'm going to change the font to black so it stands out. So what we've got there is our shapes are all the same size, the text is the same size, the text is centrally aligned within the shapes. In the next sequence I'm going to show you how to align them very, very quickly and easily so that they're beautifully and evenly spaced.